Well, this seems to be sparking some bit of discomfort within different camps, with the opposition, with the National Unity Platform, shooting it on arrival. Take a listen to some of the views and the reactions that greeted Lumu's bill.
The proposed amendment of the Political Parties and Organization Act as some of the fruits of the just concluded regional parliamentary sitting that convened in Gulu, and so DP's Richard Lumu granted leave to prepare the motion. The motion seeks to have the leader of opposition elected by all opposition legislators other than being appointed by the leading opposition party. The idea has ever left the opposition, including DP, whose member is fronting the amendment, cash cold, fearing it could instead break the opposition.
We take now the battle to Parliament, that we are now, I go and campaign before DP and NUP, and then before you know it, there is a handoff, NRM government. This is wrong.
That is not the position of the Democratic Party. It is a private member's bill that is informed majorly by the whims and opinions of the mover, the intended mover of the motion.
This is not the first time DP is seeking to have this amendment. It was first brought by Medard Segona but met with resistance in 2018. 5 years later, it's again brought by another DP legislator, Richard Lumu.
Unfortunately, they've continued to play the politics of intrigue, I think hatred, and I think self-seeking. I don't know why they always don't want to be in harmony with other parties.
DP Vice President General Fred Mukasambide believes the bill could have been motivated by the personal character of the sitting leader of opposition, who is accused of working in isolation, an argument other opposition leaders disagree with.
What is coming up is definitely pointing towards the character of the current leader of the opposition, who definitely leads in such a manner that he is not as consultative as required. Because in Uganda, there is no political party called opposition.
Why would you bring a bill that is going to cause chaos and destabilize the country because you are fighting just one person?
Well, in a few, we'll be bringing you the reaction of the leader of opposition at one of the interviews that he had with the media. But he's joining us now in the studio. Good to have you, Honorable Joel, and a very good morning.
Thank you, Simon. How are you?
Is this a new battle for you to fight?
I said, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Good to see you.
You are a good Muganda. Should have some manners. You first respond and then we attack. Anyway, I'm happy to be here.
Now, the new headache that the party has, the NUP has to confront.
No.
Why are you too quick to react and too fierce in your reaction to the extent that in one of your addresses you said, Baba wadde sente okujja okutucyankalanya? And I could play that back for you.
Please do.
Can my producer run the video? It will be coming on shortly. But what explains your resistance to the Lumu bill?
Well, what you're calling fierce reaction and so on. Firstly, of course, you, the media, whenever there's something small or big, you run for reaction, which is an okay thing to do. And you prop it up. So yes, we responded because there is an initiative by one of our colleagues. Ideally, it should not maybe have raised a lot of dust. But the genesis of this was the sitting in Gulu, and I understand you said later on we'll be discussing the regional sittings, but just this particular element, our colleagues go to Gulu. A number of us disagreed with that, which we will point out later. Then the speaker says, we are in Gulu, want to focus on just northern Uganda related issues. Honorable Sechikubo tried to raise a couple of concerns. He said, no, here we are discussing matters of northern Uganda. So our colleague raises this issue. And some colleagues from the north, Honorable Pipi Ojara, Chua West, Honorable Nekalit, Kidbu Municipality, and others, they rose and said, but Madam Speaker, how does this issue help northern Uganda? You said we should only be concerned about issues northern Uganda. This does not in any way come to be of help to northern Uganda. What is it? Told them, sit down. Honorable Lumu, proceed. Clearly showing that it had where it was coming from. It looked like the Honorable Lumu was not on his own. And that can happen in politics. But broadly speaking, his idea, which is that the opposition leader in parliament should be elected within parliament by the opposition members and so on. When you look at its genesis,
so your
maybe they are saying, yeah, of course that's important. It cannot just come out of the blue. It has where it is coming from. It's possible they are saying this Senyonyi man here is giving us a lot of headache. He's asking this question, making noise about this, now corruption in parliament, now accountability issues, now this.
He's not consulting like you had
not cooperative. Well, if you want us to talk about you said we'll talk about the regional sittings later, but we will. He's not cooperative. He's always disagreeing with this. The speaker is saying this, and he's concerned about many issues. Maybe we should try and fix him. Unfortunately for them, they will not succeed in fixing me because.
Why are you reducing this to yourself?
But you're the one who has played that clip, and all those people are telling you their target is Senyonyi because of his modus operandi, his stance on several issues, whether it be corruption, whether it be accountability issues, and the general modus operandi in parliament. But then again, I have news for you and the others. It will not affect me at all. Because you see, Simon, the advent of multi-party politics in 2006, when we chose to go that direction, it was that, all right, so we'll have a party that is in power, then there will be the opposition. And when you read that act, I hope you've had a chance to read the Administration of Parliament Act.
Certainly, yes.
It prescribes numerous issues. So there will be lead of government business on the other end, then there will be lead of opposition. On this end, there will be government chief whip, chief opposition whip, and so on and so forth. Committees which are chaired by the party in power, committees which are chaired by the opposition, and so on and so forth, to bolster multi-party politics. That was the reasoning behind that. So if you come up with this and you're saying, no, let's tackle just one particular element, people will ask questions. Why just this one? Why not the entire? Because multi-party politics was to address the entire. You know, why should it just be the leader of opposition elected? How about the leader of government business?
And what would
why
be
should
wrong
it just
with the opposition exercising internal democracy and having consensus on the leader that they want to be at the helm?
I've not even said it's wrong. If you're attentive, Simon, I am asking, like many people are asking, if it is okay to elect the leader of the opposition, the chief opposition whip, why should the same not happen to the leader of government business, the government chief whip? And so because all of those positions did come with the advent of multi-party politics. So when you choose to focus on just one particular area, so you're feeding into the narrative that you are targeting a particular individual, even when you won't succeed, of course, like I've said. But again, it messes up what you're calling a good idea, because if you're saying it's a good idea, then you should have said, let's address the entirety of it. When you say, let me focus on just one particular element, then you're feeding into the other narrative of those who are saying, no, you're targeting a particular individual, you're being used, and so on.
Senyonyi, I just want to play you the clip of your first reaction to this motion. And here you go.
Hey, I saw on the news, one of our colleagues, the Honorable Sechikubo, was raising an important matter because we have been dealing with the censorship motion for some thieves in Parliament. And the Speaker said, don't bring your manyanga here. Here we are dealing with issues of northern Uganda. That manyanga of yours, that nonsense of yours, is to be handled in Kampala, in that house of yours in Kampala. That's where you deal with your manyanga. Interestingly, today, I saw her entertaining Sam Manyanga. Some of our colleagues clearly being used by the Speaker and the NRM. They are mooting a motion saying, now we want the leader of the opposition to be elected by the entire parliament, by the entire opposition. We have never been afraid of any democratic process, as you know. But clearly, this is because of the pressure that as a team we have been exerting and that we continue to exert. And we shall not stop.
You call it Manyanga, simply Manyanga. But have you, for starters, even interested yourself in the details of what Lumu presents?
Well, Manyanga, if you listen to the context, the Speaker said in response to the Honorable Sechikubo that that Manyanga you are bringing, leave it for your Kampala house. Here we are only handling Northern Uganda issues. So in other words, according to her, anything outside of Northern Uganda issues is Manyanga. So that's what I was saying. But now you're entertaining more Manyanga because it's outside Northern Uganda issues. But you kept saying that you're going to play a clip where I was saying they're being given
used.
money.
They are being used by the Speaker.
Simon Kagwanjala, you said that I said that they have been given money, and that's why they're bringing this bill.
They are being used by the Speaker.
And you said you're going to play the video as waiting for it.
That exactly is the video. They're being used by certain people.
Okay, so it's okay to amend your words. Now you have amended. But that's the same thing that I have been saying, that when you bring such a bill and you're focusing on just one particular area, you're feeding into the narrative of those who are saying you are clearly targeting a particular individual.
But there's also this narrative
used
that
and so on.
Vanguards of democracy do not want to be checked, to be tested. That taking you through processes would be offensive, appears now offensive.
But who has
That
said,
if there was to be an election for a leader of opposition, it would not augur well with the opposition, with the leading opposition in power.
That's actually not true. You see, what some of us are saying is, if you want multi-party democracy to grow, and your intentions are good, then seek to grow the entire of it. Yeah, because multi-party politics is not just on one side of parliament. That's why there is the right side of the Speaker and there is the left side of the Speaker. So if your intentions are good intentions, yeah, because maybe it would be an okay thing to say that, yeah, let all these leaders be elected. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. I was elected by the people of Nakawa to go to parliament, and they gave me their mandate. So democratic processes are okay. No one is saying it is a bad thing, yeah? What we are only saying is, if you're saying that now electing these leaders within parliament helps to grow multi-party democracy, then it should be a good thing to apply across the board, not so. Yeah, because why are you seeking to grow just one side? Because you seem to presuppose that you will be in the opposition forever. Maybe some of our colleagues have no plans of leaving the opposition. Because if you're saying we are working hard towards entering government and we want multi-party democracy to grow, that means you want, just hold a second, you want it to grow whether it be in the opposition or in government, so that tomorrow when you are in government, you want the same thing to happen, that even leader of government business, government chief whip, maybe committee chairpersons, you know, from the government side and so on, so that it applies even when you cross over to government, not so.
But there is also a sense that this idea is popular among other shades of opinion that do not really relate so well with the NUP in parliament. They seem to complain that you're having, your modus operandi is not
Who are those?
Very, well, it was, for starters, it was backed by a member of the National Unity Platform, and that is Honorable Kakembo. But there are also voices that have come out to say that perhaps it's time for us to try this experiment. Don't you think the lines or the divisions in Parliament are now coming out stuck in the open?
No, Parliament, Simon, you have been around for a long time. I don't know, when did you join the media?
It's been 20 plus years.
Okay.
And I'm proud of it.
I joined the media in 2006. So you and I have always seen what has happened in Parliament. You even tried to get to Parliament. So you know the happenings in Parliament. And you know that there's always been disagreements in Parliament, whether it be this side against the other, whether it be within the NRM side, whether it be the
But now they're
opposition
more
side.
stuck. They're more clear.
There will always be individuals who have a different school of thought. And that's not unexpected. So when you say the lines have been drawn and so on, what's new? But maybe what could be a little bit new in this case is that there are people who were not happy at all that now Ssenyonyi is the leader of the opposition. You saw the voices right from the word go. How can they do this? As if there are no other people who have been in politics much longer, who are older. This guy is a young man. This is his first time in Parliament.
Just
hold
of a
on.
protracted battle.
Because you did ask a question, yeah? This guy, first of all, is young. Two, this is his first time in Parliament. There are people who have been in Parliament here for 15 years, and so you did hear the voices. Even before I got into office, yeah? So there are people who have never been happy, and they'll never be happy. And that's okay. Unfortunately for them, so they can be unhappy all they like. It's okay, leadership is as such. So, yeah, from the word go, there are those who set out to say, we are unhappy, and maybe we shall fight, or whatever the case might be, and that's okay. I actually tend to thrive when there is opposition against me, when there is, animosity and all things thrown at me. I dig in my heels and I move.
Hitherto, what's your relationship been like with Honorable Umu?
I can't say we have been friends as such. He's a colleague. We do engage every so often. He's been to my office a few times, shared a couple of ideas, and we have engaged. At some point, he had a particular concern which we tried to raise. So he, like all other members, freely walk into my office and we engage. So he has been to my office before and we have engaged. Yeah.
Is there a sense that this position caught you by surprise from a colleague, from a person you consider a colleague?
No, because you see, when you take a stand, there will be a fight. When I was still chairing COSASE, and you people covered many of our meetings and so on, whenever I would take a stand, there were always fights. And the speaker would say, now you leave this entity, and I would say, no. Now you kick the media out, and I would say, but why? All the others we've been, operating with the media present. Then she would say, leave this particular person, and I would say, no. And there was always a fight. Then at some point, she tried to use the committee members to throw me out. She did not succeed because those committee members were saying, but where is the problem? What wrong has he done? And some had actually begun to sign, because it's a committee member, chairperson can be censured by the committee. So some had begun to sign, and as they were taking to others, that time at the heat of it all, they said, but okay, so if I sign here, how am I going to defend it? What bad thing has our chairperson done exactly? I might not agree with him in terms of politics. He's NUP, I am NRM, but what bad thing has he done? And so it failed. So it's not the first attempt. There'll always be that. Whenever you take a stand, there will be a fight. And that's okay. You've got to keep moving.
Yeah, but this is not a Ssenyonyi, an anti-Ssenyonyi bill, right? It is the opposition now coming out to say, we need to have a leader whom we elect with consensus, not a leader who is cherry-picked by the party.
It is
you were cherry-picked by the party.
Opposition members, not the opposition. It is some opposition members. And like I'm saying, it's okay for them to have that view. They are entitled to it. No one should actually muzzle them. Yeah? I'm only saying they fall into a trap, and the narrative of those who are saying, maybe you guys are targeting a particular individual. Why is your concern just this? If you are interested in multi-party politics growing, then your interest should not just be the leader of the opposition. Because the Administration of Parliament Act, which came through with the advent of multi-party politics, introduced several offices: lead of government business, lead of the opposition, government chief whip, chief opposition whip, and so on and so forth. And the idea that now some committees will be chaired by the ruling party, some committees will be chaired by the opposition. Yeah. So what people are telling them is, if you're not targeting a particular individual and you're interested in multi-party democracy growing, then your interest should be across the board. If you are not saying you're just interested in being in the opposition, because tomorrow you could be in government, so your leader will be the leader of government business. Now your leader is the leader of the opposition. So that means when you cross over into government, your leader will be the leader of government business. Maybe you should also seek that that person is elected, so that when you're in the other end, you can also be able to elect your leader.
Maybe that's business for another day. That's business for another day.
Yeah, but it's part of what I hear them say, that look, we want multi-party democracy to grow. And I'm saying that's okay. Yeah, we should be able to review it. Of course, I don't know where they have benchmarked it from. I don't know any country where it happens. Do you?
Okay, the motion is backed by Kakembo, Honorable Kakembo Mbwatekamwa, Member of Parliament from Entebbe Municipality, and he's a member of the National Unity Platform. Is he subjecting himself to some bit of maybe reprimand from the party?
Have you heard that the party is calling him to reprimand him?
How concerned is the party that a member is supporting something that is deemed sinister?
Well, at least this is not even illegal. It might be problematic in many ways and so on, but it's not illegal. Some of our members have participated in illegalities, which is even more problematic. So yes, you'll always have members who will choose a particular path. Some will be outright illegalities, as we have been handling. Some of those, I've seen you defend some of those fellows. Well, you're right as well. But yes, there will always be such members. It's not unexpected that now, how can it be an NUP member, backing up such a motion? Well, how can an NUP member engage in theft, in illegality? Yeah, society gives us all, and then you keep weeding out.
Well, here is just another battle that Senyonyi is fighting. Ever since
there's no battle that I'm fighting regarding this issue.
There is a battle.
I've given you my stance.
There seems to be a battle. You're very uncomfortable with the arrangement, and you seem to be ready to go all the way to shoot it down.
It actually will not affect me at all, yeah? Because even when this, assuming if it eventually passes, it cannot affect the sitting leader of the opposition, myself. And I'm not supposed to be leader of the opposition forever. There are people who get into some of these small offices and they want to stick therein. So when you move them a bit, they get offended. Surely, but I don't know if, have you been to prison?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Yes. You see, when you go to jail, whether it be police or whatever, there always be a leader amongst yourselves, somebody called RP. That person is still a prisoner. So Senyonyi is like an RP because I'm leader of the opposition. I might appear powerful and all this grandiose and so on. But the other day I went to Lubigi and they tear gassed us. People were saying, what? How can the leader of the opposition be tear gassed? Well, that shows you that I'm an RP. I'm a leader among prisoners. I'm also a prisoner.
For now, it comes off as if you're a leader of a fractured opposition where things are in disarray.
That's in your head, Simon. And it's okay for that to be in your head and for you to process it that way. It's a view that you can hold. But like I've said, that even in the past, Honorable Winnie Keys, I had an interaction with her, but anyhow, I also followed and we covered Tujukwatako and so on. And she was saying, look, we'd sit in meetings, agree on this. Meanwhile, some of our colleagues are sending information to the opposite side, and so they are betraying us and so on. It's not new. It's not new. It will always happen when in leadership, whenever you're leading people, it's not unexpected. Okay.
You've had quite a tumultuous reign ever since you got into office. And you seem to be at permanent loggerheads with the Speaker of Parliament. Do you see where this is likely to end?
When I had just become leader of the opposition, I sought out the Speaker and I said I would like to have a meeting with you. So I go to her office and there was the clerk and so on. I told her, no, I actually want to have a meeting with just you and myself. If you don't mind, request these people to leave. I want us to have
A one-on-one.
a one-on-one. And we did for like 3 hours. And some of the issues that I put to her, I told her, look, we have had fights in the past when I was chairing COSASE. Why? Because you kept standing in my way. I was doing my work and you kept standing in my way. And inevitably, we had to fight because I was not going to allow you, powerful as you are as Speaker, you're my supervisor, but I also chair a committee, I have a responsibility. When you stand in my way, I'll not allow that to happen, hence the fights. I told her, now I'm leader of the opposition. You are Speaker. You are my boss. You are my supervisor. But I've got a responsibility to execute. Please don't stand in my way. Let me be able to do my job. And then I told her also that as I do my job, which is to keep the government in check, this parliament is part of government. It's the third arm of government. I'll keep it in check as well. So as I go after Right Honorable Nabanja and her team and so on, that's the executive, where there are issues within parliament, be sure I will raise them too. Will that mean I hate you as Speaker? No, because I also want you to do your job right. When you don't do your job right, all of us, the people that you lead as MPs within parliament, we are affected because you are our leader.
Yes.
And I thought that was a good conversation. She smiled about some of those things, and I told her I'm actually very serious. I said, but you can also, you don't, let's work harmoniously and so on. I said, that's exactly why I've requested to have this meeting, so that we can work in harmony. You do your job, I do my job. Don't stand in the way of me doing my job, but also do your job right, because it's my responsibility when I see something amiss about this parliament, I've got to raise it because I'm a representative of the people. And I thought, good meeting. But as sure as day follows night, things began to happen that are problematic. That my work keeps being stifled.
Did you expect it better?
Well, maybe not, but at least I set the stage, had this one-on-one, then I told her, look, you are not my problem. My problem is bad governance, corruption, and so on. If you become that problem, then I'll be firing at you as well. So I begin to operate. We go downtown Kampala with colleagues in parliament, with vans of parliament and all of that. Then she calls the clerk, withdraw those vans. So they left us in the field. And the clerk was saying the instructions I have is for those vans to return. Either you people enter those vans and return to parliament, or they return without you. I said, well, I'll not have a fight with the clerk because the clerk is really our staff. So I said, I'll not have a fight with the clerk. He just has instructions. It's not his fault, maybe. I said, okay, we can withdraw. Then we hired taxis and so on. From the word go, it was clear this man has got to be fought. Policy analysts that were operating within the office, Speaker told me, there's no money to renew their contracts. I told her, but Madam Speaker, even this very week, I have information, you have hired people in this parliament. I don't know whether they are your relatives or people connected to you, whatever the case might be. Right now, that's not the issue. But you have recruited new people. And you're saying those that have been in office, there's no money to keep them in office, but there's money to recruit new ones. How does that happen? I told her, you are frustrating my work. Why? So anyway, what was clear is that from the word go, they were hell-bent on fighting me. But I said I'll operate even if I remain an individual. And so we still go out and operate. When we went to Lubowa, I told colleagues, you know what? We are going to drive our cars. Let's do carpooling, because the vans of parliament are not going to be available to us as you saw the other time, yeah? So colleagues shared cars, and then we went. And that's how we keep operating, But away from that, when now I began to realize the corruption within parliament, when I began to realize that people sit in the commission and share money amongst themselves, that the Speaker...
You're part of the commission.
Very good statement. Very good statement. That the Speaker now can blow billions for these, give herself contracts for these billions of shillings and so on. I said, Madam Speaker, one of those times I was in her office, I said, Madam Speaker, you told me that there is no money to renew contracts of the staff, the policy analysts in the office of the leader of the opposition. How come there's money for all these ridiculous things? which don't even make sense to me. She had no answer. So I saw all of that corruption and all of that rot, and I said, I'll not keep quiet, because it's part of my responsibility to keep the government in check.
Taking you back.
Now, what some people perceive that to be is, I am fighting with the speaker, which is what you're saying. No, I am fighting against corruption. So if it is the speaker engaging in corruption, I'll go after her. If it is any of my colleagues engaged in corruption, I'll go after them. Does that mean I hate these individuals? No, I hate what it is that they are involved in, and I must be able to tackle it, because that's my responsibility. So to answer you in that lengthy way, there's nothing personal between the speaker and I. No, I just hate bad governance.
But it's
I
a
hate corruption.
protracted battle between Senyonyi, the person of Senyonyi, and the person of Anita.
Well, it's because Senyonyi is the one
Where is the
occupying.
office of LOP and the office of the speaker?
If Kagwanjala was the one occupying the office that I occupy now, if you were serious, you would also be talking about these things, if you were serious. So then people would say, this individual. If it was another person in the office of the speaker doing the same things, I'll still be speaking out the same way I am doing, because I've spoken out against even colleagues within my party. So why don't you say, hey, now maybe even for your particular people, even though they're NUP and that kind of thing. So it's just a principle that something wrong is wrong, regardless of who is doing it.
The office of leader of opposition would involve some bit of horse trading, negotiation, and compromise in one way or the other. You seem to be taking the hard stance always, without compromising at all.
You see, the meeting that I've told you about, I'm the one who asked for it. And many times I've actually sought audience with the speaker. When this regional, and you said we were going to talk about it, when that whole idea began, I reached out to her. I then wrote several letters, and I didn't get a response. And I was raising concern and saying, wait a minute, how did we get here? Because you just made a pronouncement. Was this processed by the business committee? Was this processed by the commission? Because it has a pecuniary financial implication. And I got no response. What am I supposed to do? Especially when I see something is wrong. And then I try to engage and say, we need to deal with this issue, because I have my concerns as a leader within Parliament. Let's sit and address this issue. Before I blew up, I tried to seek for us to sit so I can help the speaker understand my point of view and the challenges thereof.
You're
that
now
did not
fighting.
happen.
When will you work?
I'm working, Simon Kagwanjala. My work, the work of the leader of the opposition, is to keep the government in check. Fighting is your conscription. You can use another word, depending on how broad or narrow your vocabulary is, Simon.
Well,
use any word.
It's narrow. You're fighting.
That's okay. So now, according to your vocabulary, that's okay. But I'm doing my work. When I'm talking about corruption, speaking out against it, fighting it, using your word, that's my job. When I'm tackling bad governance, that's my job. When I insist on accountability, that's my job. Do you know the work of the leader of the opposition, Simon?
Yes, I do. Pretty well.
What's the cardinal role of the LOP?
Play oversight, keep government in check.
That's the cardinal role. And that's what I'm doing.
But you don't seem to have consensus from the opposition. There seems to be a big group of the opposition that is not aligned with the kind of work that you're doing. Isn't that problematic to you?
When you say big,
yes.
make sense of that.
Let's look at the FDC, let's look at the Democratic Party and other players from the opposition. You seem to be running with the National Inter-Platform, and that's just a few members, not having even the entire opposition, the entire NUP.
Again, that's you trying to use flowery language to make it seem like, you know. When an individual, you see now that the Honorable Lumu is bringing this motion, sure, you're saying now all DP members are against the LOP. I don't know if that's the case. He was backed by the Honorable Kakembo, who belonged to the NUP. Why aren't you saying all NUP members are against the LOP? Again, that's your exaggeration, and it's okay to exaggerate, Simon.
Well, we'll take a very short break, and when we return, we'll still be engaging the leader of opposition in Parliament to tell us about his endless calls for boycotts of events and meetings that are being called by the speaker. Are they yielding anything? Good morning. Welcome back. Still, the topical discussion is on, and the conversation is around business in Parliament with the leader of opposition. Well, it's been boycott after boycott, from boycotting budget sittings, from boycotting the Gulu sittings. What impact are you making, Honorable Ssenyonyi, with these boycotts?
Part of it is that you're talking about it. Boycotts are one of the tools we do have in our toolbox that we get to use. And they have been applied time immemorial, even within our parliament, whether it be by previous leaders and so on. Yeah, sometimes you say, you know what, here, our voice saying no to a particular issue, saying we are opposed to a particular issue, will sound a lot more when we say we are not going to take part in this.
Yeah,
so
but
as opposed to
increasingly becoming unpopular.
Of course, wherever they do get to happen, there will always be some opposed to them. You know, when we left Parliament the other time under the Honorable Mpuga, you saw the Speaker coming out, guns blazing, we will punish you, we'll get it. So whenever there is opposition to it, that means it has got effect, yeah? Because as opposed to saying, okay, let's come sit there and throw punches at each other and so on. Sometimes as gentlemen, we say, okay, we are making a statement by steering clear of this. But fast forward to this particular issue of the regional sittings. It's the regional sittings, not just Gulu. Some of you have narrowed it down to just Gulu.
No, we just want to start with the case of Gulu.
Was the first one, yeah?
Gulu left the opposition bruised.
That's not true.
You saw members from the
not true.
Acholi group protesting against your stance.
Firstly, Simon, it is wrong when as leaders we create a perception among the people that your issues can only be attended to when Parliament comes and sits in your area. Because in that case then, you're going to have to take Parliament to every district in this country. When Parliament was sitting in Gulu, people in Karamoja were saying, including some of the leaders who were there, were saying, but now even us, people in Kitgum were saying, okay, probably Parliament should also come here. People in West Nile. I saw one of our colleagues, one of my colleagues, the Honorable Nandutu, who was saying, this is a good thing. In fact, we need to think about taking Parliament to every zone. I saw it on the news. A zone is a village. I said, hey, this is interesting. So now people have been made to think that your issues will only be attended to when Parliament comes to your area, which is wrong. It is not true, especially when it has got a huge pecuniary implication. If you're going to spend 20 billion shillings to move to the 4 regions, that for me was the genesis of the trouble. When I even reached out to the Speaker, wrote several times and she did not respond, I was saying, firstly, where did this come from? I saw some colleagues who were saying, but now, Honorable Ssenyonyi, we passed this in the budget, where were you? I said, really? You know, this excuse, the whole narrative of we pass it in the budget has become an excuse for anything. So I saw some people who were saying, we pass it in the budget. Where were you? I said, really?
Was it a falsehood?
But actually, the Speaker has contradicted them. Because the Speaker, at the start of that session, she said, no, there was no money tailored just for the regional sittings. She said, we are getting money from committees and elsewhere. Did you not hear her? You heard her. So she's actually contradicting those who are saying that in the budget we passed money for regional sittings. And you see, that's the challenge also. You know, some of these colleagues, they don't have harmony. I think they are just told, just go and bash Ssenyonyi, just go and disagree with what he's saying. So this one is saying this one is saying the other. So when some are saying, we pass it in our budget, where was Ssenyonyi when we were passing it in the budget? But then, the one behind it all is saying, no, we didn't pass a budget for the regional sittings. We are getting money from committees and elsewhere. That's what she said. So who should we believe now? So anyway, away from that confusion, Simon, we need to begin as leaders. Sometimes we get so, political and we want to do the politics. And it's okay to do the politics, but at what cost? And that's what I was telling colleagues. The issues of the different regions, specifically Northern Uganda, which was the first. Northern Uganda has got some really good MPs, including some of those that belong to parties that I don't agree with. When they stand up to speak, they really speak. They know the issues of their people. And I can say that one is NRM, I don't agree with his or her party, but that person knows the issues of their area and they speak with passion. They've always adumbrated these issues, whether it be nodding syndrome, which governments promise support to the families, whether it be a parliament question, issues of boundaries, war debt claimants. They always speak passionately about these concerns. Karuma, when it was, the whole North was cut off, our colleagues from the North spoke with passion and we backed them up. So we have always addressed, talked about these issues in Parliament. What we should have been doing is to say, let's insist that government dedicates money to address these concerns.
Right.
When now you want to spend a lot more money just to take a sitting to Gulu, you will go, discuss the same issues, come back, like our colleagues did come back, and the North is still the same way it is. The people suffering from nodding syndrome are not going to be attended to. Just watch the space.
Yeah, but again,
the war debt claimants are not going to be paid.
The sittings was futile, became futile at the end of the day.
That's okay, but at least I've made,
happen.
Yes, but at least my point is clear. And I've actually had, it's interesting, some people have decided to depoliticize this matter. I've had several leaders within the NRM who have been speaking out. I've had Honorable Francis Babu, former Vice President Specioza Kazibwe, this gentleman Rogers Mulindu, and others who are saying, yes, Senyonyi's NUP, we don't agree with his party and so on, but on this issue, really, it is not making us look good. Because the real concerns of the North are known. And now those people are getting angry. I've been getting some calls. And they're saying, we were duped. We thought these people are coming here, and by the time they leave, our problems will have been resolved, which is not true.
Yeah, but it doesn't take away the publicized sentiment that actually groups ganged up against Senyonyi.
That's okay,
with
but
a
you
lot
see,
of bitterness.
Yeah, so if they ganged up against Senyonyi, and then what?
That's a vote of no confidence in the party that delegated you into that office.
Yeah, but they have always, because the number of them are NRM, they've always been against me and my party, and that's okay, that's politics. The same way I'm not for their NRM and so on and so forth. I was watching on the news, I saw some of them literally quarreling. There's a lady called the Honorable Maneno Zumura. She's the Obongi woman MP. She spoke with so much passion and she was literally quarreling. She said, NRM, which is her party, she's not even an independent, she's an NRM flag bearer. She said, every election cycle, NRM has been promising to fix roads in Obongi, which is a very rural constituency. And she said, every election, you put these promises there, you don't fulfill them, you just dupe our people. And she said, now, I am telling my party, NRM, in the next election, 2026, don't put our roads in your manifesto. At that point now, she called it your manifesto. She said, don't put it there because you keep lying to our people. So she was literally quarreling, and you could see the passion, and that's what I'm saying. Why should you spend all of that money, carry all these people, the entire parliament and so on, to go and make more false promises? Just act if you're serious. If you want these people to love you, that you care so much about them. Because I had them say, those who haven't come, they don't care about you. I said, really? I mentioned a statement somewhere. I said, but those who are saying they care about you are stealing what belongs to you.
Well,
for a very long time.
Very interesting.
So just fix
One of the legislators
there.
who attended this Gulu conference and who is actually in the spotlight as we speak, Honorable Rumu, is joining us from one of our studios this morning. Honorable, what a pleasure having you. Very good morning. There seems to be bad blood now brewing in the wake of your request to table a motion, for a private member's bill to elect a leader of parliament. What do you make of the sentiment from the National Unity Platform? Honorable Rumu, it's good you're connecting with us this morning. What do you make of the bitterness that is coming from the National Unity Platform towards your controversial bill?
Bitter, because if they are bitter, they would have talked to me and they show me their bitterness. I don't know why they are bitter. Because they have not even taken time to understand what I'm saying. For them, you are telling me they are bitter. I don't know why they are bitter. All what I'm saying, let us first of all follow the law the way it is, but why they need a little bit for the good of all the opposition. Would that one make someone bitter?
Okay. Do you wonder why they're already reading bad spirit? They are already imputing bad intentions towards your bill, especially regarding the fact, as Honorable Senyonyi put it, that why don't you broaden it to even include the leader of government business?
MP also. Honorable Senyonyi is an MP actually representing where we are sitting. He can as well bring his own bill to include whatever he wants to include. This one is mine, and that is what I thought about. The other thing is, the bill will go in stages. So they can also come and add in their ideas, other than simply quarreling. We cannot quarrel like we have no direction in our heads. What I'm doing is good for the whole opposition, including the voters. I think the voters have gotten no problem. They are also thinking that election of the leader of opposition, election of the commissioners, election of the chief opposition whip has no problem with them, because I saw people here when they wanted to bring a motion to censor commissioners. People were struggling with it. I want to even ease in that. It is also in part of my propositions. So let them not pick one item. There are several items. Right now, as I'm talking at night, I reached section 28 of my propositions. They are free to come to the committee stage, and we debate about it. If they convince me, then I leave that section out. But the mere fact that they are bitter, I don't know whether they will convince me, because if you are so annoyed with the thing, sometimes you fail to convince another.
Well, Honorable Umu, wouldn't it have been prudent of you to engage the opposition, because you fall under the leadership of the leader of opposition? Why would you present something that is catching them off?
No, first things first. The first thing is secure leave, which I have already secured. The second thing is consult, because a draft will be done. I think I'll be ready with it by the end of this week. Then I'm going to share with everybody, including my leader, the LOP. I'm going to share with him my draft, my propositions. He's free to say, no, here you change, here change there. Then thereafter, we shall call a caucus of the whole opposition, and I talk to them what I think. And when I talk to them and we deliberate, we talk about it, if they convince me that you remove this section, we widen it like this, we amend it like that is what civility requires. Yeah, civility does not require that you quarrel when you have an opinion which is different from yours.
But it's already been greeted with a lot of hostility, ab initio. People are suspecting every kind of foul play, to the extent that some leaders suspect that you're being used as a pawn by the speaker to haunt the opposition where you belong.
They all sit in the parliament. I don't know whether whatever they do in that parliament, they are being used by the speaker. And I don't know why. All of the time I have been in the parliament, the speaker had never used me. He's now using me, she is now using me for the sake of this bill. I think we should stop being, I don't want to use that word, for the sort of words, childish. Because whoever has a different idea, he's being used. Why? Because recently there was a motion of censure. Sechikubo is NRM. The seconder was NRM. But most of opposition members signed it. So were they being used? Were they being used? They were not used. That is what they thought was right at that time. So I don't want that kind of thinking that whoever has a different idea from you is being used. No. Let's debate. If you convince me, you've convinced me. If I convince you, take my position.
So,
Lastly on that, what does the law say as it is standing now? The law says that the party with the highest strength, numerical strength will elect or shall elect a leader of opposition. That is what the law is as it is right now. Was that election done? The answer is no, probably, as far as I know. And I was proposing you call Ompuga and Honorable Senyonyi, who is there with you, and ask him where was did the elections of the law in NUP take place. And that is what the law says. For me, I simply want to widen it a little bit, because we are not having one single party on the opposition. I am saying let them, the NUP as it is now, produce or provide 3 people. Vet them, vet 3 people, send them to the whole opposition, then we select one. Is there a problem with that? Does that one need someone to be bitter?
Well,
does that one need someone to be annoyed?
Well, Honorable Lumu, what is very notable about this motion is that it's the first time, perhaps in the history of the 11th Parliament, that an order paper is rearranged on the floor of Parliament, is amended on the floor of Parliament to include something this controversial. And besides, it's also the first time that someone comes on the floor of Parliament without a draft bill and is granted leave. Doesn't this raise eyebrows?
All what you are saying is wrong. That is not exactly what happened. The order paper was not amended. You can go back, because whatever happened there is recorded. Did you hear the speaker saying the order paper is hereby amended to include this?
But was it on the order paper?
Yes,
in the first place, it wasn't.
It was on the order paper.
It wasn't.
Did you hear the speaker saying that because she has to make an announcement that now I'm amending, that I got that order paper around 9 o'clock in the night, and it was there. It was there. I can confirm. You can ask anybody who was in Gulu. It was there. The other one which you asked, I don't remember what you asked. You had 2 questions.
Well,
what other question did you ask?
I want to sign you out because Honorable Senyonyi is also going out. But as you seek to engage the National Unity Platform, there is a sense that you're very uncomfortable with the current leader of opposition and the way he's running the show.
Why should I be? Why should I? Me, Simon, you might be knowing my ways. If I'm uncomfortable with something, I would straight tell you. When I was uncomfortable with the decision which was made, deterring people from going to Gulu, I wrote to him and I told him I'm not comfortable with this. And that is me. So I'm not uncomfortable with his leadership at all. I simply want to put things right. And people should not be scared of this law. For people who have now the biggest numerical strength in Parliament, it might work in the 12th Parliament. Who knows whether we shall be in power? Who knows? So it might not even affect us at all. And it will strengthen, I am sure, my propositions will strengthen the opposition. I'm very sure about that.
Well, finally, the leader of opposition is right here. Do you have a word for him?
I can tell him, my colleague, that he should not be scared of anything. Nobody, for me, in my heart, I'm not fighting him. I'm just bringing this bill in good faith, and I can supply with him what so far I have done. You will find that the law is good. The law is providing for so many things. Let him not pick one thing, one item. There are several other things. We can even discuss about it together if he gives me the time. I am available to do that.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Richard Lumu, Member of Parliament for Mityana South. Good to have you with us. And thank you, Sanyuka, our sister station, for according us some time to engage Honorable Lumu. Well, does his submission arrest your misgivings?
Simon, first of all, you didn't tell me that I was going to be on the show with my colleague. I know you probably want me to have an exchange with him. I will not.
Not really.
I have already addressed my mind to this issue, so I'll go back to the regional sittings, which
No, but
is-
we've been lucky to get
No, I have given my thoughts on that issue. I'm not going to have an exchange with my colleague on TV. You should actually have told me that we'll
We
have
got
somebody
him.
else,
We got
so
him.
prepare
We got-
for an
we got
exchange.
him, so-
The ship has sailed. I've moved away from that. I was saying, if government really cares about northern Uganda regarding the regional seatings or any other part of this country, then address the concerns of these different areas. You know, so it's not right to say that, yes, those of us who are against the regional seatings, we are against these particular areas. Promises have been made to northern Uganda. I had rated a couple of them. War claimants who have not been paid for a long time. And even after that regional seating, they're not going to get paid. Their Parland question has not been answered, has not been attended to. The boundaries question, the Balalo question, and so on and so forth.
So it
Nodding syndrome.
exonerates you.
Yeah. So, yeah, because you see, they have left, Parliament has left, and these issues are going to remain because there's no real commitment to address these issues. Commitment is not built by carrying the entire Parliament at that huge expense and taking it there. Address the concerns of the different areas because they are known. Otherwise, are you then going to carry Parliament and take it to every part of this country? That's why we have got committees. Committees go to these different places, get the issues there, come back, report to Parliament where we sit, and we address those issues. Some people have actually asked and said, okay, now that you say issues get addressed when Parliament moves, is sitting in a particular area. Parliament has always been sitting in Kampala. But look at Kampala, look at the mess that it is. Garbage is falling on people and killing them.
Yeah,
look
but-
at the roads in Kampala. Simon, Kampala and its surrounding areas contributes about 65% to our GDP, contributes about 75% to our country's revenue collection. But just look at the mess that it is.
Yeah, but-
so my point is, let's address the concerns of this country, of the different
but
regions. We
again,
know what
even
they are.
with your boycott, all legislators were paid.
And that's part of
And
the
they
problem.
got 1.6 million shillings for this sitting, for this Gulu sitting. Do you ask them to refund the money?
Yes, and many of us have actually already refunded it, including myself. I wrote to my bank and said, please do send that money back, and they did via RTGS.
Should it be an official law position that all legislators from the opposition refund the money?
It doesn't have to be an official law position. There are many NRM MPs who didn't go. Hopefully they will also refund it because, you know, I actually called the clerk a day before the sitting and I said, so many of us are not traveling to Gulu and we want to refund this money. He told me two things, that one, there will be registration in Gulu, so those who will not have attended, the money will be recovered at the next pay, which is next month. And I said, well, there might be those who will not want to wait till the next pay, want to refund it now because it is still available. Said that's fine. People can always instruct their banks to refund it. So we did inform our colleagues, please instruct your banks to send that money back. So it doesn't have to be a law position because even those who belong to the NRM who are not under the leadership of the law, once they have not gone, they've got to refund that money.
Well, Parliament is hell-bent on continuing with these sittings. How long will you continue boycotting? And imagine the business that you're missing out. How about going to state your position on the irrelevance of these meetings?
Yeah, but I'm stating it already. Have I not been
No, what I
stating
mean,
it for a
on
very
the
long time?
floor of Parliament.
I have stated it on the floor of Parliament several times when we have
Yes.
met here in Kampala.
Yes.
So, yes,
the
I
next
have.
the next sitting is going to be in Eastern Uganda. Will you still boycott while others attend?
You see, and some have said, yes, let's insist and keep having them so that the LOP loses. But what does the LOP lose? Really, really. Yes, it will go on, but what do I lose? At least I've made my point clear, and the population has understood. When they go to Eastern Uganda or Central or the West, again, the people there are saying, you have come having spent all these billions of shillings. By the time you leave, will our problems be resolved? Because the problems are known. Their members, very eloquent members, have always raised these issues. And I even suggested, that's why at that time I was seeking out for that engagement, to say that, you know what, instead of spending all of this money, we can still sit in our Kampala house without extra expenses. And we say we are dedicating each week to a different region. This week, we are dedicating it to the north. Next week, west, east, central. Members of parliament from those areas will be given, advantage over the others to deliberate and so on and so forth. You can still be able to do that. Because even when you go to those areas, the assumption that some people had, that when they go to Gulu, there will be some kind of rally and so on. It was still parliament, Simon. And there were very few leaders within the gallery. The public was not able to access parliament. So that's the issue. That's the problem therein.
Okay. Honourable, as we get out of here, I realize you have several other engagements after here, but don't you think after all this collision with the Speaker, you need to bend a bit and maybe reach out, extend an olive branch, and start working together?
But I'm the one who has been writing to her and getting no responses. The only response I got from her was her requesting me to mobilize my colleagues to go to the north. And I said, let's be serious here. I have been raising all these concerns. We have not had occasion to sit and address them. You have not paid attention to them. All you want is for me to mobilize colleagues to come. Why should we be operating this way? The Speaker is my boss. As Speaker of Parliament, she is my leader. And I respect her even when I don't agree with her. I don't agree with her on many things, but I still respect her. But that doesn't mean I'll continue to look on when the wrong things are being done, because then I'll not be doing my job. All right? My job is to keep the government in check. So where I see corruption, I will speak out. Where I see bad governance, I will speak out. When I see things are not happening the right way, contracts being issued in a very haphazard manner, that now she's giving her radio a 3.1 billion shilling contract. Now she's doing this. They're buying, generators for their private homes, 500 million. Then she'll buy, solar lights and reservoir for her private home, 500 million, and all of these different things. I'll speak out. Does that mean I hate her in a personal way? No. I would still speak out even if it was another occupant in that office doing the same wrong thing. And yes, sometimes it could be serious issues to that extent. Sometimes it is even simpler issues. I've called out the Speaker on how she... Just listen to this.
Business? Yes.
I've actually called out the Speaker on what sometimes can be smaller issues, like disrespecting members of Parliament. Several times even on the floor. I've told her, but you cannot shout at members and say, you, nonsense, you, shut up, and so on and so forth. I've told her, Madam Speaker, I do respect you, and we respect you as members. Respect us as well. Decorum. And then one of those times she said, okay, Lope, you're very powerful, I withdraw. Of course, she didn't do it, from the heart, but at least it was on record. That's my job, to make sure there is no bad governance. When it's there, I've got to speak out against it. When there's corruption, I'll tackle it.
Yeah, but
that doesn't mean, Simon, that I have something
fundamental issues that the Lope should be pursuing instead of these fights that are seemingly personal.
No, but you see, we're talking about billions of shillings of taxpayers' money.
Electoral reforms, elections are looming. We're looking at creeping excessive expenditure, human rights issues, things that you should be tabling other than going head-on with the Speaker.
Yeah, but you see, as I'm tabling all of those issues, that's what you're calling going head-on. When I'm concerned and saying billions of taxpayers' money is being misused, that should be providing services for the people. Simon Kagwanjala would say, I'm fighting with the Speaker. Okay, you can carve it that way, that I'm fighting the Speaker, but what I'm fighting is corruption. So if the corruption is happening in the Speaker's office, I'll not keep quiet because Simon Kagwanjala and others will say, now I'm fighting the Speaker. Well, let her do the right thing. That's what I am emphasizing, and I'll not stop to emphasize that.
Right Honourable Joel Ssenyonyi, Leader of Opposition in Parliament. What a pleasure hosting you this morning. Let's continue the conversation. How do things look like in the opposition in the midst of this new twist by the controversial Lumu bill? Good to have you all and have a lovely day. Cheers.